Okay, I think we are live. Let me double check here if I can hear myself on the phone. Let me know if you guys can hear me all right, by the way. And we'll get started. Man, this never, I swear every time that I try and check on my phone, it never works. So if you guys can hear me, let me know. Russ King, you are first. So let me know if you guys can hear me okay. All right, wait, sweet. Okay, so we are live. Fantastic. Let me do this. Hello, and welcome everyone again to another Woodland Pools Q&A live stream. We're really excited to have you guys. We do this every other Wednesday, so every 2 weeks, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. For those of you guys that are in the chat right now, and you're already here with us, that are the ones who got in, we're only 1 minute past 6 p.m. Eastern. We already have a few people here, so thanks so much for those that are already here. For those that are going to be watching this on the replay, again, we do this every 2 weeks on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, which means that our next one will be on the 18th. Wednesday, August 18th at 6 p.m. Eastern will be our next one. So join us then if you're not here with us today. So for those that are already joining, let us know where you are joining from. It's always fun to see where in the world. Oh, I always have to, man, I always forget when I'm doing this. Here we go. Now you can actually see my face. Otherwise, it's like for those of you from the United States, watch Home Improvement, you got to do like the neighbor who kind of like peeks over the fence kind of thing. So anyway, let us know where you're joining from. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat as you're coming in, and we'll do our best to get to as many of them as possible as we work through the live stream here. We usually do a pretty good job of getting to almost all of them. So drop them in there and we will get through them as we go. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on this week. I mean, so last week, let's see, was the Cardano 360 presentation, and we covered that in detail. If you guys hadn't already seen it, this is where we go over it here. There's so check this video out. There's a bunch of stuff that's going on there for Alonzo. Blue, white, you know, sort of all the phases of Alonzo. And if you guys have any questions about any of the stuff going on with the Alonzo rollout, let me find this. Here we go. This guy. The Alonzo roadmap, something that we talk about a lot in our weekly recap. So if anybody's any questions about how the rollout is coming together, sort of where we are and how things are going, feel free to let us know. Let's see, stuff going on this week. We've got obviously the regulatory stuff that's been making a lot of news. We're going to be talking about that on the weekly recap as well. We have a bunch of articles and things pulled up, including the actual filings themselves. So we're going to go through that in detail during the recap, but happy to talk about it a little bit here. Catalyst voting just closed for Fund 5. Fund 6 registration should be opening soon. We've got the Alonzo rollout going on. A lot of stuff is in flight. So let us know what questions you have as you're joining. So, and also too, I tried to put my face here in a different spot because like when I have it here, I'll show you as an example. Like this has been a problem in the past. Like when I got myself up in this corner, come on guys, there we go. When I'm up here, it always like seems to cover up anything I'm trying to show up in this corner of the screen. And then obviously if I put myself in, this corner, I get covered up by that little thing there. So there's not really a great spot for me to go. So we're going to try this out right here and see how that works out. Oh, and then the reason why I'm not in the bottom at all is because as we saw with some of these guys here, like Brett letting us in here, okay, it goes directly over the top of my face. So kind of a weird spot. What we're going to try and do is see if this is not too obnoxious to have it right about there. So we can see kind of what's going on these different pages. You know, and usually the headers and things are up here, so we don't get them covered up. But all right, so let's see where we've got some folks joining from. Russ was our first. You can hear us okay? Sweet. Thank you for letting us know. Brett, hello from North Carolina. Been there a few times. Very, very pretty area. If I wasn't going to live in Colorado, North Carolina is very high up there on the list on the places that I considered outside of Colorado. And Russ King from Germany. Nice. What time is it in Germany right now? Thank you for joining us. I know it's probably kind of late there. Cool. All right. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in. And if not, then what I'll do is we'll start with kind of a little tour here. So And let me know, have you guys joined us before, Brett or Russ? But if you haven't, just a quick tour of the of sort of some of the stuff that you can find if you're new to our channel. If you come to our page here, YouTube/Woodland Pools, obviously you can check out all of our videos here. The playlists here are probably some of the most helpful things that you'll find in terms of getting started. So we've got, if you're brand new, this Getting Started guide is a good one. It'll walk you through everything you need to do from start to finish. Here we go. Assuming you have a hardware wallet, how to get the ledger set up, picking a wallet. And if you don't, then you can just start on video number 2. Picking the right wallet for you, how to get Yoroi installed, and how to delegate from start to finish, from how to find Yoroi, how to install it, selecting a stake pool, like looking up a stake pool and then delegating to them. That's the mechanics of how to do it. But this video here, selecting the right stake pool for you, we go through Pool Tool, which we have pulled up right now. So if anybody has any questions about Pool Tool, I'd be happy to answer those as well. So here we show you how to select the right stake pool for you. An explanation of the Cardano delegation cycle. This is always really confusing people, confusing for new people since Epic's last 5 days. And there's the Epic lag that happens after the snapshot, from when the snapshot happens to when you get your payout. And then some common delegating questions. So so we got some stuff there. This is if you really want to binge all of our videos, all of our weekly recaps. Here's a good one if you're new and you want to check out the different wallets, where we look at all 3. And then here you can actually see how to actually get all 3 of them side by side if you'd like as well, for Adalite, Yoroi, and Daedalus. Oh, sweet. Russ, you're, so let me pull this up. In Germany, it is a little bit past midnight. Nice. Well, thanks for staying up with us and joining us. Already staking with the pool and already in the Telegram chat, which is super helpful. Well, that's awesome to hear. You must have a different name in Telegram, which is fine. I just didn't recognize your YouTube handle. So, and that reminds me, if anybody wants to join us and chat in real time in between these live streams, here's a link to our Telegram chat. So feel free to join us there. As Russ said here, a nice plug for the Telegram chat. It's a really great group of people in there that are constantly asking good questions, sharing stuff that they find, and really helping each other out. We've got a few all-stars in there that are just really active and always helping to answer people's questions. You know, the 2 of us that run the stake pool and run the channel, we do our best to always be available and help out however we can. And so that's why we put out like all these different videos. But a lot of times, you know, if we're just not there, the group is now up to 130 people, which is great. And just like I said, time and time again, we'll be tied up doing something else and come back and missed a bunch of notifications, and somebody maybe asked a couple of questions, and then several people jumped in and shared some really great resources and answers. So if you're looking for a really positive and helpful Telegram group to help you learn more about Cardano, cryptocurrency in general, or anything like that, feel free to go join our Telegram group. And as we always say, we have a strict sort of no jerks rule. So if you are a nice person who wants to be around other nice people and learn more about ADA or crypto, feel free to join us in that Telegram group. So, question here from Dolly. Yo, Woodies. Oh, sorry. I thought you were giving us a nickname there. Yo, what is it possible that a pool won't give me rewards and take my coins and run away? Oh, so that's a great question, Dolly, and I'm glad you asked it. It is possible, but probably not in the way that you're thinking. So I'll start by saying that, how do I phrase this? Rewards calculations. So actually taking even one step further back, block assignments to a pool. Let's go through it that way. The assignment of blocks to a pool, the rewards that are calculated based on the amount of blocks that the pool validated, and then the distribution of those rewards, all 3 of those things are done automatically by the network, and the pool actually has no involvement in that process. Now, the network, the Cardano blockchain, the network protocol decides how many blocks to give a pool to validate. Where the pool comes in is at assuming that the pool is actually up and running and active, it validates the blocks that it was intended to validate, which, you know, as you can see here, we've done all 56 that have been assigned to us. We've hit them all. But so the only part that the pool is involved in there is whether or not it actually validates those blocks. But so the protocol decides the amount of blocks it's going to give the pool. The pool does the work to validate those blocks. If it does, then the network looks at, okay, how many blocks, and is a separate sort of calculation that it does, how many blocks was the pool expected to get? And we can actually look at that here. You can see, let me show you. Here, probabilistically, how many blocks, this is on the right side of the quotient here, how many blocks was the pool expected to get compared to how many it did get? So we see here, for example, we had a streak of good luck here for a while. We were expecting 2.5, 2.5, 2.8, 2.9, and we got 4, 4, and 4. Here we expected 3 and we got 6. We're now having a little bit of a drought right now where we're expected over 3 and we're only getting 1. But basically, the network decides how many blocks you're going to get. You validate those blocks. Then it looks at, totally separately, it looks at probabilistically how many were you supposed to get and how many did you get. And then based on that, it assigns the rewards. And then when it gets to that next epic boundary for the rewards disbursement or distribution, then it automatically distributes them out to all the delegators proportionate to your delegated stake. So you can come to the list of delegators here, for example, and you can see how this person here who has over 1 million delegated is going to get, you know, significantly more than the people that we have that are delegating maybe just like 100 ADA or something like that, right? Here we go. So just a proportional thing. And actually that's a good point that I could show you here, a tool that Jaron built for us, which is really, really cool. You can look at the rewards estimator and you can select a pool like ours, ASPEN. And let's say you wanted to delegate 1,000 ADA. And it'll show you here based on the active stake. And then, and you can choose. And so you can do this to get an idea of how much you would get. And you can pick different epics on the performance of the pool to get an idea. And then also we have a running average. Yeah, here we go. The average ROS that's going on. But you can see here the fees that come out for fixed and for variable fees, then the rewards that are left for the rest of the pool, your stake, and then how much you get. This is for that specific epic. So all of that is just background as a way to say that in all of that stuff that we mentioned, the pool has no direct impact on it aside from the actual blocks that it validates. And even then, the network sort of takes it from there. But the important thing is that in terms of the pool, like taking your ADA and disappearing, the only ADA that the pool takes is what is publicly declared, for example, here on Pool Tool as the epic fixed fee, which 340 is the minimum, by the way. Pools can't charge less than this. The network won't let you charge less than this. And then there's the variable fee. So if you look at what we're looking at here, where these are the total, 281 was a bad example. Let's look at like 279. Here we go. So for all the rewards that were going out to everyone in our pool, we took 340 as the fixed fee. Then we took 9 more ADA as the 0.5% variable fee. And then this was all that was left for everyone else. But if we look at something like, what is it? Meld is a good example. So Meld is this like new project where basically if you go to their page, yeah, here we go. Perfect. You go to their page, they promise things like, okay, stake with us for this amount of time and you'll get Meld tokens and things like that, right? Now, keep in mind, when you're doing something like that, another one is like Sunday Swap. For those, their agreement that they're advertising to their delegators is, hey, we're going to take pretty much everything of the rewards, but in exchange for that, what we're promising, this is what they say, what we're promising is that after some amount of time, we're going to give you something in lieu of that ADA as a payment for doing that thing, okay? So the tricky thing you need to keep in mind, though, for these kinds of arrangements, like Meld is one, like I said, I think Sunday Swap, Sunday Swap is another one, but I'm not sure. Let's see if I can find quickly here. Well, I can look them up actually on Pool Tool. But anyway, the same idea though. But the point though is that if you remember what I was just explaining, how on a traditional pool where you're getting paid in ADA, the network takes care of everything and it just takes out the percentages that pool said, like, hey, give us 0.5% and our fixed fee and everything else goes to the delegators. The blockchain, the Cardano network takes care of that automatically. But now with one of these other pools where you are saying, okay, I trust that you are going to take pretty much everything and then give me something back later based on some agreement that we have, and that agreement is sort of signed by me delegating to your pool, you are now trusting that that pool is going to do that, right? You're trusting that they are going to then send you that later on. So keep in mind that with these other pools, you really want to do some research to see, do they seem trustworthy? Do they seem like a team that you think is actually going to follow through on what they said? Because you are now removed yourself from the situation where the network handles everything for you and guarantees you're going to be paid the ADA that you were due. Where with these other ones, you're now trusting that they're going to come around and give you that stuff back. Yeah, so it's a really long answer, but I thought I'd sort of cover like all the different steps that lead up to it. But the short answer, and that's the TLDR, is that on a normal pool, like ours or anyone else's, that they have some variable fee and then just that fee is taken out, there is no way they can steal your ADA because the network takes care of the rest. For these other pools where there's some other off-network arrangement, then that's between you and them and whether or not you trust them to do that. So good question. Lots of elements to take in mind, but there you go. Okay. And by the way, let me know, when I go on these rants for like 10 minutes, sometimes I feel like I sometimes, unfortunately, I completely missed the point. So let me know if I answered your concern, and I'm happy to dig in a little more if I missed something. Cool. Next question, Brett. Where does the ADA come from to pay the Catalyst Fund winners and voters? Great question. So the fund winners and voters. Yeah, great. So that is from the same pot of where the delegation rewards come from. That's the Cardano Treasury. So the way the Treasury works is that it was bootstrapped with some large amount to start from the IO team, IO Global, IOHK, and the Cardano Foundation. They put some large amount into that Treasury, and that is where these funds come from. So obviously, it's diminishing over time. But the idea, though, is that as adoption picks up, and actually, sorry, so before I even get to that point on how it would scale, it was a bootstrapped amount, and it's decreasing over time over these different funds and reward payouts for every epic and stuff like that. But the idea is that it would be offset by what is put in is network transaction fees. So that like 0.17 ADA that you see, roughly that amount that you see whenever you're sending ADA somewhere, or when you're switching stake pools and you're delegating, you have the 0.17 ADA, or when you first registered your wallet to vote in Project Catalyst, again, 0.17 ADA. That's just the standard network transaction fee. And there are different things that go into what that fee is, but it's usually around that amount. Every one of those that gets charged by the network, that goes into the Treasury. So to the second part of what I was getting at, the idea then is that as network adoption picks up and you have a much larger volume of people doing transactions, and especially with smart contracts, the execution of logic of a smart contract implies a transaction with the network. So, if you think about a smart contract that has multiple transactions, each one of those will also be a network transaction fee. So not only just adoption of the value portion and even the staking portion and the voting portion of ADA, but as you get other things like the actual execution of smart contracts, and then have all of these things as they scale up, then the volume of the increase of the fees, theoretically, the plan for the network is that would be offsetting the decrease in the Treasury of both payouts, of all three of the payouts for proposals, for voting incentives, and for delegation rewards. So those all come from the same place. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you threw me off with the name change. Zach, well, if you have a change of heart and you want to, if you and Josh want to soften up a little bit and bite your tongue, we'd happy to have you in the Telegram group. Oh, I see. So Tesseract, you're talking about here. So he's saying, is it possible that they would not give you rewards and run away? It's not possible to be a hardware wallet. So yeah, actually, as I kind of rambled on for a bit, it's actually more baked into the network than that. But what Tesseract is getting at, which is a good point, is that separately, in terms of the security of your ADA, right? This is separate from like the pool that you're concerned about whether or not they're going to run away with your stuff, which for those of you just joining, they cannot. The short answer is when you delegate your ADA, it never leaves your wallet. You just hit delegate. Like for example, let's see if your row is going to work here. But like the software wallet, you just come to the pools. Let me let this load up here. Yeah, see this one's already delegated to ASPEN. If I come to the delegation list, and you just find a new pool that you want to delegate to. Let's let this load up. So I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit more. If I wanted to this Kiwi pool and delegate to them. Oh, and actually, this actually serves to answer multiple things, because jumping back to Brett's question. So what I was talking about the fees here, it's kind of hard to see, but here is that 0.17 ADA network transaction fee. Okay. That is what would be charged for me to switch pools to them. And this is where these fees come from. But separately, going to here about hacking or whatever, with the software and hardware wallet, you should never be sending your ADA anywhere to delegate. All you do is you say, I want to delegate, you put in your spending password, or with a hardware wallet, you confirm on the device. With like the ledger, you just confirm with the 2 buttons on here. And that's it. You shouldn't have to send your ADA anywhere, so there's no way for anyone to steal it. Now, that being said, in terms of security of the wallets, once you're off of the exchange, you have your own wallet, then you're already one leg up, right? You're in a much better spot for a lot of reasons. But when you're comparing software or hardware wallets, hardware is the way to go, because, for example, like with the ledger, the secure element chip that's in here is never connected to the internet. Even if you plug your ledger in, you can think of it as like part of it is interfacing with the internet and the outside world, and there's another part of it that is never exposed to the internet ever, and all it does is passes signatures and verifications for transactions to the part that does see the outside world. So this is definitely the most secure way to go with a hardware wallet. If not, if you either can't afford one or you're not ready to get one yet, definitely go with a software wallet like Daedalus or Yoroi. Definitely get it off of the exchange. There's a lot of reasons on why you want to do that. And we've gotten into it in several videos in the past. But if it's on a hardware wallet, nobody can hack it from the outside. So in a software wallet, it's harder to do. But if you have malware on your computer that's just sitting there and running on your computer, it is technically possible that with enough time, if someone has access to your computer, they might be able to hack or even just do a keylogger or something to get access to your software wallet. So hardware wallet's the way to go from a security standpoint. Okie dokie. Man, ooh, lots of chat. Here we go. Okay, cool. Good. This is the good kind of rant. Thanks, man, for making me feel better. But let me jump back up here because I've missed a bunch of stuff here. So, oh yeah. So you're saying, the pool operator can't take your stuff, and if it was, then this would have never been available when Shelly was launched. Yeah. So, yeah, cool. Is there a specific probability for choosing blocks to pools? And why do some pools not get blocks made regularly and others that have historical continuous blocks? Yeah, great question. So the way that this works is it is a probabilistic thing done in direct relation to the size of the delegation to your pool. And so that's where this comes in. Nope, here. This is where this comes in, Zach. Here, what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Let me show you this alongside here. And by the way, what I'm looking at here, this is in the way. Let me get this banner out of the way real quick just so you can see. Here we go. This is Pool Tool. We have a whole video on how to use Pool Tool that you can check out. Let me actually show you that video real quick. If you haven't seen this already, Zach, check out this one. Selecting a stake pool using Pool Tool. So this video goes through in detail how to use Pool Tool and how to find the right stake pool for you. So here's Pool Tool and this is ADA pools. So what I want to show is two things. What you can see here with Pool Tool, this line that's trending up here, let me get this up. There we go. This line that's trending up here is the size of the delegation to the pool, the size of the stake. So you can see we've slowly been ticking up over time. Now, as that happens, the amount of blocks your pool is expected to get increases over time. So you can see here, for example, let's go on ADA pools here to another page. Great. So you can see here, way back when the pool was a lot smaller, we were only expected to get like a fraction of a block. And so obviously you can't get a fraction of a block. You either validate a block or not. It's a step function, right? You always get in discrete integer increments, right? So you see here as the pool was growing, we were supposed to get 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and it kept going up. And so, then we get to 1.7, blah, 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 keep scrolling. You see how now we're expected to get about 3.5 blocks per epoch. Now, here, you can see here on this distribution, you can see here the probability of each of those blocks per epoch. So while we're expected to get 3.4 blocks, you can see that the probability of getting exactly 3 blocks is about 21%. And since it's 3.4, then it's likely between 3 and 4. Probability of 4 blocks is 18.5%. But to your question, there is still a non-zero probability that the pool would get 0 blocks in an epoch. It's only 3.3%, but it does exist. And actually, if you look, we had here, what are we? Yeah, so about 12. So about like 60 days ago, like 2 months ago, we had 2 epochs where we got 0 blocks, even though we were expected to get a couple of blocks. And it just happens due to sort of that pendulum swing of probability, right? It's like a dice roll, for example. When you roll a dice, a single die, you're going to get anywhere from a 1 to a 6, right? But you could roll a 1 a few times in a row, even though probabilistically, like the odds of doing that are not great. It can happen. That is where the probability plays in here, where you see that we can get 0. We have a 3% chance of 0. We could also get 7 blocks. And these two are equal probability of happening. Okay. Now, the reason why you see with larger pools, why you see that this effect is not as pronounced is because when you have a larger pool and you're expected to get, let's say, 40 blocks, then your range might be from like 35 to 45, right? But the probability of getting 0 is basically non-existent. You're just ranging from 35 to 45. But the difference there is that is where the rewards bonuses come in. So for example, this is a good one here, Epic 276. We were expected to get 3.1 blocks. Instead, we got 6. If you look at it from a numerical standpoint, it's only 3 more blocks than were expected. But because our pool is relatively smaller to the ones that have 40 or 50 million ADA that's delegated to them, an additional 3 blocks corresponds to almost doubling. Can you see? Oh, let me scroll up. There we go. Sorry, there we go. So we're supposed to get 3.1, but we got 6. So those additional 2.9 blocks or 3 blocks in reality corresponded to an almost doubling of the amount of work the pool was supposed to do in validation. And therefore, the payout was roughly double what you would expect as a standard normal payout for a return on stake or return on ADA, whatever you want to call it. Whereas if the pool was expected to get like 40 blocks and instead you got 43, right? Let's do an easier number. We're supposed to get 3, we got 6. So it is a 200%. It's a 100% overperformance. If we were supposed to get 30 blocks and we got 33, right? Same 3 blocks, but now you've only overperformed by 10% versus by 100%. Okay. So that is the genesis, or that is sort of like the idea of the notion between consistent versus lumpy returns. And we go into it in detail, by the way, in that video that I linked about choosing the right stake pool for you. We go into a lot of detail and look at a lot of different pools about consistent versus lumpy returns. But you can see here, for example, when our pool was much smaller, you could see how we went a really long time between blocks. And then here, when we got this one, our return on stake, yeah, can you see that? It might be too small, but it says our return on stake here was almost 20% for that epoch. And then we got another one here, it was almost 12%. But as the pool now has gotten larger, you can even see the consistent versus lumpy returns at play here, where our returns now are a little bit more consistent. They're between, here you go, you see 2.6%, this one was 7%. So you see started to narrow in now. It's starting to come into that 4 to 6% that you would normally expect from any pool. So the trade-off there is consistency versus, for smaller pools, you have some epochs where you get 0. With the last couple, we've gotten 1. It's just bad luck, honestly. But then you do also get the ones where you overperform by a good amount and you get a really decent bonus payout. So yeah, so hopefully that helps answer that. Let me know if not. Once again, I covered a bunch of different things there, but it's, all these things, a lot of things play together and they all come together in that way. Yep, and Tasserac's a veteran here. It's random. Yeah, so it's probability. So the other thing too, I'll say to keep in mind is that like when you see a pool like ours or any other pool, sometimes people make the mistake of seeing like, oh man, oh shoot, let me do this, epic. Here. Some people make the mistake of saying, oh man, that pool got 2 back-to-back epics where they only got 1 block to validate and their ROS was really low. Like, I better bounce out of here. That they must be doing something wrong. But the thing is, if you're watching that pool and you see that they're consistently validating all the blocks that they're assigned, you're actually thinking of it exactly the wrong way. Since it's a probability and over the long run, the pool will get as many blocks as it was supposed to be getting, right? If you see a pool that's in a stretch where they've like underperformed for a while, from a probabilistic standpoint, that will balance itself out and they will get overperformance epochs as a result. Like for example, if we look here at these, I always do this. There, you can see, cool. If you look at like these epochs here, where we were supposed to have gotten a few blocks and we got 0, then 3, then 0, then 0. That was rough. And you can actually look, that's what this dip was here. Right after, and this is actually exactly the point that I'm getting at. Right after we got these 2 epochs where we got 0 blocks and therefore 0 returns, we took at the time, it felt like a bigger hit than you can see here, but we got several delegators that left because they were like, oh man, a 0 here, something, then 2 more zeros. Like, no, I'm going to get out of here. And then what happened was shortly after is when we got 4, 4, 4, 2, 4, 6, right? So the probability does play out. So keep in mind that if you're in a pool and you're planning on being there for the long run and you see that they have a stretch of bad luck, it will balance out. And that's a very poor time for you to try and run off somewhere else. If anything, counterintuitively, it's when your pool is performing very well that you might want to think about leaving if you are planning on leaving. Our suggestion is what we did before we started the stake pool. Our suggestion, like we've got a guy in the channel, Squad Blockchain, who he tweets this all the time, you know, get in the pool, stay in the pool, you know, like that's my husky, sorry. Get in the pool, stay in the pool, like, you know, just delegate for the long run, let the probability work itself out. If you try and jump around and chase rewards, you're going to end up losing because you're always trying to chase the pool that's performing well. And then the pendulum's going to swing back and you're going to get their low performing epochs instead. So something to keep in mind. In the US, what's expected from the IRS gains earned via rewards earned in staking ADA? So Brett, as we always say, we are not tax professionals. Oh, my thing went away. Let me put this up and this. So not financial or tax advice. We're not tax professionals, but our understanding of the tax code currently in the United States, and I'll share this video here with crypto taxes made easy with coin tracking. Our understanding is that staking rewards like ADA are paid out, or sorry, are treated by the IRS as regular income. So it's just like money you were making. Because if you think about it, with normal crypto trades, let's say you bought ADA at $1, and then several years from now you sell it at $5. That $4 difference is your capital gain that you have to pay, right? That's obvious. But what happens in a scenario where you're just given some ADA for free, right? By delegating as rewards, you receive some ADA as rewards when it's valued at $1. What do you do there? In the United States, at least, our understanding of the tax code is that that is treated as regular income, like as if you made, you know, that $1 worth of ADA times however many ADA you got, you got it as regular income at that time. So let me share this for you here, Brett. This is crypto taxes made easy with coin tracking. Let me actually share it though for you. There we go. So there's that guy. And then we show this in the video, but when it comes time that you want to then see how much you've made, what you can do is if you go to delegators here, you need to come to your own address, obviously. So let me show you how that would work. I'm just gonna pick a random one here. But what would happen is you want to go to pooltool.io/address. Oh, let me hide this real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Here you go. When you come to pooltool.io/address and then put in your staking address. And then here you can see how much you've gotten per epoch or whatever. But here's the trick. You can look, and it's already prepared in the format that coin tracking needs. You can, for a given year, 2020 or 2021, you can export your rewards that you got total, and then you can upload those into coin tracking, and it'll help you calculate your revenue that you got basically from staking rewards. So cool. Hopefully that helps. By the way, let's see if we can get some more. If you guys are enjoying the live stream here, we're going to go for about another half hour. If you are enjoying it, please give it a thumbs up so the algorithm sends it out to more people and other people can get their staking and Cardano questions answered. And if you think that you know somebody that might enjoy getting their questions answered, share it with them as well. So cool. Only chances increases the more Cardano. Yeah, so this is going back to the algorithm thing, right? Yeah, so you get more blocks as your thing increases. I think there's a lawsuit from a couple on this exact issue. Not the outcome will be in terms of taxes. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. Yeah, some pools do have terrible luck. And then some pools, like we were talking about before, have really good luck. And that luck will eventually run out. So, you know, something to keep in mind. Cool. Thanks. So the fixed fee is down from the rewards. Yeah, so both fixed and variable fee come from the total pot of rewards that are paid out. And so check out that video. Actually, I guess I hadn't shared it. This video here is a whole video dedicated to rewards and fees explained. But the short version of what we're like looking at here is that of the total rewards that were available, the fixed fee comes out first, then the variable fee, and then what's left goes out to the delegators. So here's a good example here. It was 1,800, 340 came out, and 9 more. And so the balance is about 1,490 that went out to everyone. So Dolly, here is staking fees and rewards explained. Okay, cool, sweet. The ultimate dingle, you made it. Where are you calling in from? Let us know where you're joining from. So airdrop versus staking. Yeah, let me know, Tesseract, what which one you're referring to here, because yeah, let me know if you're talking about like from taxes or whatever else. The 10-minute rants are half the reason why I'm joining these live episodes. Well, thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. Cool. They're also a lot easier to go on, these 10-minute rants, when we're doing these live streams. Because you know, on the recap videos and stuff, we try and like trim stuff out to make it as like concise and just like, here you go. But yeah, with these things, we're much more conversational. We can kind of like chat. I mean, every time we just kind of talk about it depending on whatever you guys are asking. So yeah. Yeah, you can't predict it. You'll know another probability. Yeah, exactly. It is like D&D rules. And actually, Tesseract, one of the things that we're going to talk about on the live, the recap on Sunday is the update that Charles just gave about his prediction for the Alonso dates and stuff like that. I saw you chatting in that live stream that Charles was doing about an hour or two ago. So that was kind of cool to see you there too. Okay. So this is a good one. Nick the Greek. Can you elaborate on what NFTs are and what you think would be some valid use cases for them in the future? Okay, so let me actually do this, because this is another rant incoming. So let me see if there's anything else that I'm missing here. I don't think so. Okay, great. So yeah, so cool. So I can jump into this for a little bit. Okay, so NFTs. I'll go to back to the very beginning. There's a notion of fungibility. Okay. So something that is fungible, and I'm not going to get into like, so I know that there's like subtle nuances that I'm going to deliberately gloss over here. So for those of you that are like hyper experts in this thing, just give me a break. I'm trying to like TLDR this as best as I can. Fungibility is the notion of how interchangeable something can be and whether it's basically like identical and swappable without anyone noticing or caring. So you can think of, for example, as like a fiat currency, like a dollar bill, like 2 $1 bills. You can think of those as basically being fungible in that if I give you this dollar or that dollar, for you, it's the same. They're exactly $1. Technically, they're not purely fungible because they are actually 2 separate pieces of paper or cotton or whatever they're printed from. So technically is what I'm saying. Like, just give me a break for the example. They're not perfectly fungible, but they're pretty close, because even though, yes, they are 2 different things that exist separately, they are interchangeable in terms of their value. So then you can think of things like ADA or ETH, right? You can think of just an ADA token or an ETH token similarly as being perfectly fungible, where even though, yes, technically they reside on different addresses and they have different models, whether it's UTXO or whatever else, if I send you 1,000 ADA, or if someone else in this chat sends you 1,000 ADA, you're perfectly fine getting it from either of us because they're identical ADA on how they come through to you. And as a matter of fact, you could send those to somebody else and they'll be happy with it because it's just ADA and they don't care. That's because they are fungible, okay? Something that is non-fungible is something where it is not completely swappable for something else, and it is a unique thing that exists and it is its own thing. And that is a non-fungible token, right? So we think about like cryptocurrency tokens or whatever. A non-fungible token is something that is unique and standalone and is its own thing. And so like the sort of the address that it resides on, it's okay, this non-fungible token is on this wallet and belongs to this person. There's only one of them, and here they are. Now, you can print multiple NFTs of similar things, right? Like for example, people do for images and stuff like that. You could technically you could have an artist that could do like a run of prints the same way how they do in real life. How you have like in an art gallery, there'll be like 10 of 10 or printed or whatever. You could do that, but all 10 of them would be 10 unique NFTs, even if they are of the same image. That doesn't really happen as often with NFTs and sort of the digital space here, but you do see that with like art in IRL, in the real world, right? So with that, when you think of, okay, so here's this thing that is non-fungible and it is unique and it can be tracked to the blockchain, the most immediate and obvious thing that came up for what you could do with NFTs, the immediate one that blew up over the past year, especially during the pandemic, was NFT artwork, where you would have some digital art that was printed, and then that digital art would correspond to an NFT token. At the time, they were all on the Ethereum blockchain, and that was just the one token that existed. And then if you were to buy that NFT, it would be sent to an address that you control on a hardware wallet or a software wallet. And then you could verify, anybody could verify publicly that that NFT belongs to you because you're the custodian of that address, and that is there and it is yours, okay? So artwork was sort of the first pass at that. And now the immediate thing that critics of NFTs say, and so by the way, I don't think anybody knows where NFTs are going. Personally, I think that it is one of the most wide open things that we have right now in cryptocurrency. I think that blockchain technology is going to revolutionize almost everything the same way the internet did. But some of the things that's going to change are so far out that we can't even really envision it yet. Like, for example, if you think about the internet, and what the internet has propagated, when the internet was first becoming big, people could think okay, so now we have electronic mail and you have websites you could visit, and you could, if you were very forward thinking in the early 90s, you could think, well, maybe one day I can go to a website and buy a thing and just buy it straight through the internet, not have to talk to anybody, right? And that's because it was close enough that you could think about, oh, okay, this is a thing that could probably happen. But I don't know if anybody in the 90s could have predicted that due to the internet and then the combination of a lot of other things, I'm going to be able to call a car that's going to show up to my house and drive me somewhere else. And then, and it'll know where it needs to go. And it's going to have, because of the internet, it's going to have real-time directions on how it's going to get there. It's going to know who I am. My identity is already baked in. And then when it gets there, it's a cashless transaction. It's automatically charged. I don't think anybody would be able to think that far ahead. So similarly, I think with blockchain, there are things that we can't even conceive of yet, of applications that it's going to have. But same as how, if you really thought ahead, you're like, okay, I could see how I could eventually buy things on the internet. That's kind of where we're at with NFTs, where NFTs now exist. And if you try and think far enough ahead with what we already can wrap our minds around, you think, okay, here are some things I think NFTs could be used for, and things that people are already thinking about. The obvious and immediate one is artwork. And people criticize it and they say, well, but here's the thing. It's just like an image somewhere and anybody can download it or copy it or print it. And that's true. But there is something about the notion of ownership where you say, no, but this is mine though. And especially as it comes up with a generation of people that have grown up playing games and things online, and you can buy skins for your avatars and you can get special avatars and things like that. I mean, that at the end of the day is owned by whatever company you're buying that through. And the only thing you're paying for is a different pixelation over your character. That kind of stuff has already become huge in games like Rocket League or Fortnite and stuff like that. This is already a huge industry. So now to think of the idea of being able to say, okay, yeah, not only is this a virtual thing, but it is specifically mine and I am the only one that owns it. You could see how that notion for artwork immediately starts making more sense. And then if you take it to the next level, you say, well, it's just a printed thing and it doesn't really do anything, right? That's the same thing about for example, trading cards that were huge for a long time, especially in the United States. And if you think about what a trading card is, it's just a piece of cardboard that just has something printed on it. I mean, if you really wanted, especially nowadays, you could scan that trading card in really, really high quality. And then you could get your own piece of cardboard and you could print, that high quality image on your own piece of cardboard. And you'd have potentially two identical and indiscernible trading cards, right? But one of them is the real one that was printed by the manufacturer, and one of the ones that you made up. And so like there is a true sense of like ownership there. So you can think about it like in that case, then you can get outside of the world of artwork altogether, and you can start thinking about like, well, what are some things that are non-fungible in real life that would be useful to be tracking on these things? And that's where you can think of things like tracking like livestock is a really good example, where you could say, okay, if someone has like how Charles Hoskinson has like you know, a herd of bison up in Wyoming, he could, and he probably already is, make NFTs for each one of those bison, and then he could like sell those bison to people and say, okay, here is this bison named Fred that you own, and this NFT is tied directly to this actual living bison. And then similar to how people buy oil or they buy gold, and they're not wanting the barrel of oil to show up at their house, you could buy this NFT that corresponds to this bison, and no one's going to ship you the actual bison, but you own that bison and it is yours. And then another application of like it being on the blockchain, if that bison were to die, that NFT could be burned and stops existing. So there's a lot of different things that you can really start thinking about how NFTs could go, how certain elements of them are already intertwined into the culture of what people already find important and how people already use the internet and things in their lives. So I think NFTs are just the sort of newest thing that we're discovering that could potentially change and be used for a lot of stuff. So there's several examples for you, and hopefully that helped. Yeah. So Charles, this is actually a great point. Everyone should install a keylog scrambler on their computer. If you have some good resources for that, please share it in the chat. And that's a great one because this corresponds to what we were talking about with software wallets, where if you have a software wallet and you're typing in the recovery phrase to either restore it or you were typing it in when you were generating it, if you have a keylogger on your computer, some malware you downloaded, it can be tracking as you type all these things in, and they effectively have your recovery phrase for that software wallet. The benefit of a hardware wallet in that example is that the hardware wallet presents you the recovery phrase on the device, and you validate it on the device, and there's no typing or anything involved. So you get another case where a hardware wallet's more secure. But if you can't afford it or you're going the software wallet route, a keylog scrambler is a really interesting idea. So if you have any good resource for that, let me know. That being said, before anybody starts clicking on random links, make sure you verify any of these softwares, because like what we see with the internet, a lot of times you may think you're downloading a keylog scrambler and you're really downloading a keylogger virus. So be careful. Okay. Jeff, always looking out for the likes. Appreciate it, man. So we've been getting up to like 20, 25 concurrent viewers. We're still only at 15 likes. We're going to be going for about another 10 to 15 minutes. So if you guys don't mind, if you're really, if you are enjoying it, please give it a thumbs up. That way the algorithm will help us out here and send us out to other people. As we do these last 10 to 15 minutes, let us know any other questions that you have, and we will go through them. Cool, Zach, glad that helped. Okay, Nick the Greek, have you considered using the IOHK program where they temporarily delegate a few million ADA to smaller pools to attract more delegators? Yeah, so for those that don't know, what Nick is referring to is, actually I can look for it here. Well, I'm trying to, let me see if it's easy to find. If not, I have it saved. But there's what he's referring to is the IO team has here. I'll just pull it up and bring it over. Give me 1 second. What he's referring to is the IO team has, and Cardano Foundation does a similar thing where they donate to pools. They donate stake to pools. Cardano here. So here we go. So Cardano Foundation does about 15 million, and they just do it random selection. And then the IO team does about 3.2 million, and they do theirs based on an application. The first one, I think we had just missed the deadline for. The second one we applied for, but they only select 100 total. So we'll apply again for the next one. But yeah, that would be a cool thing. You know, an extra 3 million wouldn't hurt in terms of the probability of getting blocked. So yeah, totally. Consistent versus lumpy returns. You'll get some, yep, same payouts over time. Yep, Jeff, exactly right. So there's a threshold for smaller pools to make a block, just as oversaturation to get too big. Yes, well, kind of. I wouldn't necessarily think of them that way, Zach, because they're two different things. They're two different mechanisms. So there's a difference between the probability of how many blocks you might get and then how you overperform, or the bonus you get for overperforming if you get those blocks. There's a difference between that and then the saturation point for pools that are too big. That is like there's no probability involved. It's like your rewards go up with the size of your delegation, right? Because you're splitting it between more people. So it's a linear thing where you get more people and you get more rewards, and they split evenly, and they continue splitting evenly until you hit the saturation limit. And then your rewards, your amount of people you're splitting between keep going up, but your rewards that you get flatten out. They stop at that limit. So what happens is, as you get more people you're splitting it between, you're splitting the same rewards. And so you get an effective you get an effective rewards penalty. The network isn't like explicitly penalizing you, but it's also not stopping additional delegators from joining, and it's still only giving you the max amount to split. So for every additional person that joins, you're now splitting the same total max rewards among all those other people. For tiny pools, like for example, the situation that we were in when we were a lot smaller, which you can see here, is that there was no like minimum for us to get blocks, but from a probability standpoint, let me actually combine ADA pools and pool tool for this example. From a probability standpoint, if we go here, we were only expected to get like 0.14 blocks, 0.13 blocks, right? So you can see how, since you're only expected to get like 0.12, there's probably about every 8 to 10 epochs you were going to get a block. But when you did, and you're expected to get 0.18 and you got 1, you overperformed by 550%. And so you get this huge payout as a result. And that's why you see this 46% return on stake, 19% return on stake, and stuff like that. So the first part of what you're saying about how smaller pools get stuff less often, that is true, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's like an apples to apples comparison with the oversaturation limit, because that one is a fixed thing. You will never get more than this amount, and you're still splitting it between more people. For smaller pools, especially tiny pools, there is the chance that you're going to get a block. And then if you do, for example, here, we were expected to get, unless the epic 252, let's look at it here, 252. Here we go. We were only expected to get 0.18 blocks. And here, 0.27. But in 3 epochs, we hit blocks twice. So we were really lucky there for a bit, 556% and 370%. It's all probability. So there was nothing from the network saying, hey, we're going to stop them from being too lucky, right? Like if your probability plays out well, and you get lucky back to back, the same way how you can get unlucky back to back. There's nothing stopping you from being unlucky either. But if you get lucky back to back, the network won't prevent that. Whereas if your pool is oversaturated, it is a hard limit, and the pool will not give you more ADA than the max that will be given out based on the max delegate active stake size for the calculation of rewards. So that's probably a better way to think about it. And then Jeff in one sentence said what I just ranted about for 7 or 8 minutes. And then, yeah, Tassark was talking about no difference in the end when we're talking about lumpy versus consistent returns. Yep, you hit the limit, you're splitting it. Yeah, perfect. Yep, so this is going back to our question from way back about taxes. It's treated as income. You also have a husky. Yeah, I mean, so you get it, right? He's usually pretty good, but sometimes he just starts doing his howling thing. So he only did it once, which is good. Otherwise, I might have like jinxed myself. All right, so we're gonna go for a little bit longer here. How are we doing on our like the thumbs? Oh, we're getting there. Right now we're at 24 concurrent viewers and we're at 20 likes. Let's try 25 concurrent viewers and 20 likes. Let's try and get to at least a 1-to-1. Hit the like button if you're enjoying it. Share it with someone else. And let's answer some questions for them too. Smash the like button over and over. I don't know that would work the way that we would want it to, but sure, give it a try. Patchy the Parrot and Potty the Parrot. Happy to be here and sorry to be late. Now, some pools come with diving boards. Do diving boards need to make a block as well? What? Happy? I know that some, oh God, oh man. Patchy, are you a dad? That's a dad joke. Some pools come with diving boards. Diving boards need to be made of block as well. If you want to get a diving board, we will install your diving board at the ASPEN pool. How about that, Patchy? That is a solid pirate dad joke. Very good. Ultimate Dingle, you're calling from the UK. Nice. We got some Europeans joining us late at night. Thanks for joining us, guys. I know it's late over there. Tax question, being challenged, lawsuit. Okay, awesome. DR, hello. Where are you joining us from? Is that Dominican Republic? Let us know. NFTs. Oh, okay, yeah. So Jeff says deeds like house deeds, vehicle titles, anything that's static. Yeah, there you go. Those are some other really good examples. Really good examples of other things. Because again, your house is a non-fungible thing. There can be multiple houses in your neighborhood, but your house is specific, is a real thing that exists. And one thing that Charles has talked about that's really cool is about like payments in the future and how all kinds of tokens, whether it's like ADA, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Polkadot, or NFTs, how it can all be interchanged. And so you walk up to a cafe and you want to buy a coffee and they say, okay, well, here's the coins that we accept. We like to get paid in ADA, or we like to get paid in whatever, in Dogecoin. And you're like, okay, well, my wallet holds a bunch of ADA. It also holds an NFT that corresponds to my house. And you pay them on whatever you want, and they receive payment at whatever they want. And there can be this whole like exchange system. Like think about like these swaps that we've talked about, like Sushi Swap, Uniswap, what Sunday Swap is saying that they want to do on the Cardano protocol. And with these swaps, you can have these things happen. This is obviously not something that's happened tomorrow, but the future of these things, you can think, I can go to a bike shop and I want to buy that bicycle, and I'm going to pay you a small fraction of the deed to my house as payment for that bicycle, right? And an equivalent amount that we think equates to the same. Or I'll pay you in some Polkadot or whatever else. But with these NFTs of like all these other things, you could, or similarly, you could do NFT to NFT. You could say, okay, I want to buy a house, and you could do a smart contract where you could use the NFT of your car as the collateral of a down payment for your house, for example. So lots and lots of applications of the future of what could happen there. Tesseract, you got to run, but thank you, Aspen, and the community. We're all here to support each other. Appreciate you all. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. And Tesseract, someone who's joined us for a bunch of these live streams, is always active. Happy to have you. Okay. I predicted this. Wrote in a journal that I lost in a boating accident with my 1,000 Satoshis. Oh, man. Sorry to hear that. Josh, thank you. Woodland Pools NFT incoming. Yeah, that's something that we've talked about. Yeah, it's not a thing that we've discounted altogether at all. We've actually talked about that, about like, oh, maybe doing some either like Woodland tokens or NFTs or something like that. Yeah, if you guys have some good ideas on what that might be, some things you might like to see, let us know. It's a thing that we're open to. We just haven't gotten any great ideas of like what those things would be. But yeah, totally open to the idea. Yeah, so there you go, Charles. People asking for your keylog scrambler. Free versions available. He's going to post. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, so last few minutes here. Let's see if we have any last questions. Rob, if you have the Arroy wallet set up and use a Ledger NOx, do you have to move a new wallet? Can you add Ledger to an existing wallet? Good question. There's a very common confusion. Here you can see, for example, if I go to my wallets, here's my Yoroi software wallet. Here's another Yoroi wallet that we ported over from Daedalus. And here's the one that corresponds to our Ledger Nano X. And you can see they are all different, and there's no way to like link them to each other because they all have different public and private keys and addresses. This one, this Yoroi software wallet, was created by Yoroi, the sets of keys. This Daedalus one was actually created by Daedalus, and when we cloned it over here, it used the same algorithm to clone it and create it here. And this one is created by the Ledger itself. So the short thing is that the software wallets and the hardware wallets all create their own private and public keys and addresses. I know, buddy. And so in order to, it just threw me off. And so because they're different, they are different wallets, and you can't like merge them together, which is probably like what you're thinking of doing. This video on crypto keys, wallets, and addresses explained should help clarify kind of what each one is doing in each case. For Rob, keys, wallets, and addresses explained. Check this video out. It's probably the most common confusion that we see, and it ends up being like the #1 video that we send to people because it's so fundamental to understand how it works. But once you watch that, you'll understand what I'm saying, that Yoroi generated your private keys for you. Your Ledger generates private keys for you, and they are totally separate. So you do need to send, you literally need to do a send transaction from your software wallet to your Ledger once you have that set up. Jeff, once again, being a lot more concise than I am. What we should do, Jeff, is like we should just do one of these live streams, and I'll just let the camera roll, and you could just you could just answer the questions because you always do it in a faster way than I end up getting to. Yep. Validate the backup. Make sure it's all working. So you have to create a new wallet, the ledger, then send it. Exactly. Yep. Cool. All right. So we are just about out of time. If there's any last things that somebody wants to throw in there, let us know. Any thoughts on the crypto law that's included in the infrastructure bill? Lester, that's a great one to go out on. A lot of thoughts on that. And actually, we're going to go into that in detail on this Sunday's recap. We're going to do a couple of updates on the Alonzo stuff that Charles has been covering, but most of the recap on Sunday will be dedicated to talking through the potential implications of the cryptocurrency regulatory stuff that has been sort of shoehorned and snuck into this infrastructure bill. For those of you that are listening, if you're not aware of what I'm talking about, check us out on Sunday. You might want to do some research ahead of time too if you want to like learn more about it. But it's a whole thing and potentially a really scary thing for the industry. So yeah, sweet. I think we'll leave it there, and that'll be a good segue into this Sunday's recap. So as always, thanks everybody for coming out. We do this every 2 weeks. Check out our recap on Sunday. Thanks to everybody for the great questions. It's always a pleasure. I live in Colorado, but the pool is on virtual machines, and those are hosted around the world. But yes, check us out on Sunday for the recap. Thank you, everybody. Hit the like button if you haven't. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for the great questions. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and check out the recap on Sunday. Bye, guys. Talk to you soon.